Good afternoon. This is Hope Roski, and happy Tuesday, January 24th to you. Today we have the pleasure of introducing to you Tami, Rima, and Ryan Diaz. And they are here on the wedding show today to talk to you about mortgage. Now, this is something that I still need to be educated in. It's a full education. So for those of you who are getting married and planning on buying a home, before you even get started, you have to get pre-qualified. So I want to first introduce to you Ryan Diaz, who is owner, president of Gold Standard Mortgage. And I am just really impressed, Ryan, with how you developed. I know, but the audience doesn't know how Gold Standard got started. So if you could tell everybody out there how Gold Standard got started.
Yeah, well, hey, thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it. We started, my brother-in-law and I started GSM about a little over 7 years ago. Born and raised in Kingsburg, so we decided to start it there. And as we kept growing, we were able to branch out to Fresno. We also have an office in Hanford, Visalia, Atascadero, as well as Bakersfield.
My goodness. And this is what's really great is because you are Central Valley grown and you do have many locations. I do understand that you also have locations outside of the state. Is that correct? Or are you moving that direction?
Yeah. So we have a location in Texas. So we have boots on the ground in Texas, so to speak.
Oh, there you go.
Some great loan officers
Yeah,
over
they got
there.
boots on the ground in Texas.
Yeah. And we're also licensed in a few other states, Idaho, Oregon, Florida, North Carolina, and Tennessee.
And I think that's really great for the viewers to know because sometimes, although people may be getting married, they might wind up moving eventually, and it's good for them to know that they can still reach out to you if they are moving out of state and that you do have those locations. Tami,
Yes.
we've known each other for a very long time, but I wanted you to share how you got started in the mortgage business and then tell everybody about how you've progressed in it.
Actually, I used to be a dental assistant for a long time, and I had a gentleman walk in one day that was from a different mortgage company where I worked before, and just said, "Hey, I want you to come on board. You can just be a processing assistant." So came on board, became a processing assistant, ended up being a processor, and then this gentleman right here kind of stole me away, asked me to come
You
over.
did.
Well, he asked me to come over, so I started working, and he just thought that I had more potential than just being a processor, asked me to be a loan officer.
And with that, I wanted to share with everybody out there the awards that you have achieved, and that's the President's Award. Is that correct? Can you
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that too?
President's Club is just a perk of being a loan officer. Gold Standard puts out if you do at least $10 million a year in loan amounts. Now, I don't make $10 million, but in loan amounts that they give us President's Club, and so it's just a really fun thing. They give us trips to go out of town that we all go to, and they take care of everything. Also give us really nice gifts and things. So it's just a fun
So
thing.
you've worked very hard and diligently, and I know this for sure, that you're working 7 days a week at your job, and you make
Yes.
people feel very comfortable about what they're doing, and that's something that's really special
And
too.
I'm going to interrupt there. She's being extremely modest on this. So Tammy's been the top loan officer in our company going on back-to-back years, and she leads by great example. She's also our branch manager, helped us start in Atascadero. So she's got a wealth of knowledge, whether it's here locally for local programs or if you're trying to get a home on the Central Coast. She's done amazing while improving her volume every year. So
That's fabulous. Well, now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. So we have the background about what you do. How do people go about getting qualified? I mean, people are getting married, they're going in for the first time to buy a home. What do they need to have in order to get qualified? Because that's the biggie. Before a realtor even looks at you, they want to know that you're qualified.
Yes, definitely. Qualifications actually very basic and very simple. If they've been on their job or a job for the last 2 years, they can come in and we can try to get them qualified. Even if they haven't been on a job, but maybe they've been in school the year before, we can use that as part of their 2-year income, their 2-year thing that they need. And then also it's basically just W-2s, 30 days pay stubs, and a copy of a driver's license. And we pretty much can just go through and see what they would be qualified for. There's lots and lots of programs for first-time home buyers that have, no down payment, or we have down payment assistance. So there's a lot of different avenues that they can go to.
So Ryan, what would you suggest for somebody who's coming in first time, they're getting married, first home? What do you suggest would be some good options for a newly couple to look at?
Oh, it's a great question. It's a little bit of a loaded question too.
I'm sure.
I guess to back up, the one thing that you really want to make sure, if you have any concerns, and the scary part is always checking credit. So I feel like that's one thing that if I think people hesitate on taking that initial step because they don't like to maybe face the past if they've had issues. But we got some really good tools that are able to help give a game plan together for borrowers to get on the road, at least get them a game plan, like I said, to get qualified. To answer your question though, there's many different down payment assistant programs, and I feel like that's the first thing everybody asks for. Everybody wants free money or something free or something for nothing. And there are some very, very good programs out there available. They all have their pros and cons, believe it or not. And so it's very important if you're talking with a loan officer and talking about down payment assistance, make sure that you understand what exactly you're getting into on the home. So, we're here locally, back in like the smaller rural towns, Kingsburg, Fowler, Selma, Dinuba, Reedley, USDA loan. It's the best down payment assistant program out there besides a VA loan, which you would be a veteran to qualify for. There's also grant programs that are available depending on how much money the state or U.S. has. And then very, very popular one is a CalHAFA, which is sort of like an FHA or conventional loan that will allow down payment assistance so you can get into a home with no down payment.
So one of the things that we hear is about buying down with points. Can you describe that to me, please? Like
I'm gonna let him do that.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Cup of tea.
Yeah, when you are talking about buying points down, that means that you're going to get an interest rate given to you, and you would buy a percentage, whether it be 1%, 0.5%, or whatever that amount would be, to bring your interest rate down. So, for an example, if I gave you a 6% interest rate and you were buying a $200,000 home and you wanted at 5.5%, and it cost you a 0.5% interest rate, it cost you an additional $1,000 to get that rate down. So that's just a quick math example. But yeah, so it's you adding a little bit to your closing cost to be able to take a lower interest rate.
So maybe taking some of that money that you get from the wedding or something that
That's
you
right.
can start doing that helps you buy down the points and get a better rate. And what a great concept that is. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Tami, here. When we talk about locking in, what does that mean for when you say, well, this is a great time to lock in? Tell us a little bit about that.
It just means when we watch the rates, going up and down, and lately everyone knows as well as we all do that the rates are going all over the place, back and forth, different places. So locking it in just means that you've decided, yes, I want that rate, that's the rate I've decided on, and we lock it in for a 30-day or a 60-day or 90-day, depending on what type of loan you're doing. If it's a new construction, lots of times it's at 90 days. So that's pretty much what it means by locking it in, because then it can't go up or down. It can't go up at that point. So that just keeps them from having a higher rate later on if it does decide to go up.
So do you contact the couple, let's say the couple comes in, do you contact them and say this is a good time, or is that something they need to initiate?
No, we will contact them always. Hey, I think we should get this locked because it looks like it's, it might be going up next week. We want to lock it in now. And I just want to go a little bit too. We have some different programs right now for the buy downs. We have a 2-to-1 buy down, a 3-to-1 buy down that the seller actually pays for when they go in with their closing costs. The seller will pay for those closing costs for that. So if, say, the rate is a 6%, like he's talking, on a 2-to-1, you're going to go to a 4% the first year, 5%
Wow,
the
that's
second
great.
year. So yeah, so we've got really good programs right now for people.
So how closely do you work with do you ever work with real estate agents?
Oh, yeah.
I believe so, because many of them will say, hey, we really like Gold Standard Mortgage. We trust them. They're valley known. Tell me a little about the rapport with real estate agents and what you have there.
Do you want to say something? Or you want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, without real estate agents, we wouldn't survive. You know, they're the ones that bring us the contracts. I mean, we could do refis and things like that, but they're the people that we depend on, because you want to do the best for them, because they will bring us the contracts. If somebody goes into contract, say a young couple decides they're going to buy a house, they go to a realtor, and that realtor sends us that contract, and we go in and get their loan going for them. So we have a lot of really good realtors that we work with.
That's great. I think it's wonderful, because it just seems like you're building a wonderful rapport with people who are going to be very nervous coming in.
Yes.
And going through this whole process. And it's nice that you have that, what I call a family feel. I just want to go ahead and wrap things up a bit. If you were to give any advice, Ryan, to first-time home buyers, what would you suggest to that couple? They're already stressing out about the wedding. What would you say?
That's a good question. I would say, as far as if they're ready to go and wanting to get a home, I always, even not to look back at ever thinking there's a right time or wrong time to buy a home. I think people get caught up in where house values were 3-4 years ago and thinking that there might be a bubble or a crash. I'd say that best time to buy a house is now. You know.
That's great advice. Would you like to share anything and just your perspective?
I feel the same way. And, about a year ago, it was like so hard for new people, especially like first-time home buyers, to get a house, because everything was overpriced and, all these different things were happening. And now they can go in and get a loan quite easily. I do want to add, too, though, that we do have some different subdivisions, if you don't mind, that if anybody's interested, good for new home buyers, good for people that are looking for a new home. In the South Valley, we have one at Kings Estates. Kingsburg. We also have one in Selma, which is the Vineyard, which is a really good one as well. That's with G.J. Gardner Homes. And then we're really excited. There's a new one coming out spring of 24. It is in the greens out by the golf course in Kingsburg, and it's going to be semi and custom home built homes by Raven Custom Homes. So there's lots of opportunities if anybody's interested of the South Valley.
That's wonderful. And so remember, Gold Standard Mortgage, Ryan Diaz, Tami Rima, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
on the
for
wedding
having
show
us.
today. We really appreciate it. And we're going to go to a commercial break. This is Hope Roski.